the next part of the agenda, which is the proposed agenda. May I then request members if they could indicate by raising their hands if they're approving the agenda that is in front of us, or if there are any changes they would like to propose. I've got Ms. Maseti, Mr. Gumede, Mr. Mkize, Advocate Sitole, Ms. Bungose, Mr. Sbanda, and Ms. Bia. Mr. Mani, are you there? May I just confirm, Mr. Mani, are you happy to approve the agenda? I didn't see your hand. In that case, Faye, if you could contact Mr. Mani and just check if the connection is in order. May we then, in the meantime, move to the next item. The next item is the declaration of interest, and I think convene, which I suspect we all use now. We are able to sign and share these declaration forms with the company secretary or the meeting secretary, in this case, Faye. May I check if there are members who may want to have a verbal declaration? If not, may we just sign the declaration of interest forms? Any verbal declaration, members? There's none. Then Faye, you should be receiving all our declaration of interest forms. Colleagues, we are now going to move into the meat of the meeting. This is agenda item number 5. This is a report from the chairperson of the Petroleum Pipeline Subcommittee, the regulator member primarily responsible for petroleum pipelines at NESA, Mr. Mkize. Mr. Mkize, please take us through. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I take all the submissions, I'll take them as read, starting off with the 5.1, which is the submission on the report on the piloting of version 8 of the tariff methodology for petroleum pipelines facilities. The Petroleum Pipeline Subcommittee requests the Energy Regulator to consider and note the report on the internal piloting of version 8 of the tariff methodology for the setting of tariffs for petroleum pipeline facilities. It is attached as Annexure A, and then to also consider and approve the publication of version 8 of the tariff methodology for the setting of tariffs for petroleum pipeline facilities, as well as approve the transition of version 8 of the tariff methodology for the setting of tariff for petroleum pipeline facilities over a period of 24 months for the date of from the date of approval, which, if goes ahead, would be today. In regulating the petroleum pipelines facilities, the energy regulator needs to ensure that the most efficient and effective petroleum pipelines facilities are in place to meet the requirements of existing and future customers. So in this regard, it is then important that the facilities the increase in efficiency and competitiveness, and that there are incentives in this regard in accordance with the objects of the Act. I would like to then draw the meeting also to the key differences between version 8 and version 7, which are provided in paragraph 4.4 of the submission. Also, the deliberations of the PPS meeting of the 7th of February 2024 are provided in table 1 under paragraph 6.1 and mainly pertain to the time value of money and reasons for its retention, and as well as the 24-month long transition period, which is justified as the maximum period within which all the needs to be addressed will be done and concluded, hopefully well before then. That is the plan. I will then lastly want to then draw the attention of this ER to the recommendation, which is under paragraph 4.1, which is to consider and note the report on the internal piloting of the tariff methodology for the setting of tariff for petroleum pipeline facilities attached as Annexure A, and to consider and approve the publication of version 8 of the tariff methodology for the setting of tariffs for pipeline facilities attached as Annexure B. And lastly, to approve the transitioning of the tariff methodology for the setting of tariff for the VAL. Thank you, Chairperson and members.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize, for that brief introduction of the submission. Members, we have a submission in front of us, and if you may indicate by raising your hand if you have any questions or points that you would want the submission to enhance or points to be clarified. The submission is open for discussion. I've got Ms. Sibiya first.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to Mr. Mkhize for the presentation. Chair, from my side, it's a comment. The issue of relating to 211, the issue of the fully depreciated assets, where we say that I do agree that once they are fully depreciated, they are not included in the REP. But the issue of conducting that review for the revaluation in case they actually, in order to determine the value of assets, we need to start doing that now, because it's a very contentious issue even within in the accounting field, to say, how do you value the fully depreciated assets? Because the asset, you might say it's 5 years, but you use it for 10 years. But then how do you determine the value? I just wanted the team to make sure that we do all the works and have all our ducks in the row when that situation comes, and then we do not have issues, because they will have significant impact on the REP, seeing that the assets that we deal with here are very much significant assets, because you will find that even though the useful life is 10 years, they can even use that asset for 20 or even for 25. So let us start now to do that revaluation tool, so that we don't have to deal with it immediately when it happens, because it will take time, because it's one of those complicated matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sibiya. Colleagues, that's a comment and an enhancement of what we should be doing. Any other comments or questions from the members? There seems to be none. Mr. Mkhize, may I just request, in that creation of the regulatory asset or liability, I think in the body of the document on 2.19 and 2.10, I think we still talk about, I think 2.19 we talk about that there can be liability, but on 2.10 we then create the impression that there would only be an asset, a liability, but it doesn't talk about the asset that may be created in case where the returns or there are no excessive amounts, there are inadequate amounts. If we could find a way of just including that, so that it shows that we are taking a balanced view. We are not only looking at excessive amounts, we are also looking at inadequate returns, and that's what would create that regulatory asset liability thing. Thank you. Mr. Mkhize, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thanks, Madam Sibiya. I would first start off by saying that we will then enhance by ensuring that there is the liability and asset being put together to provide a balanced view, as alluded to by yourself, Chair. And then with regard to Madam Sibiya, we very much appreciate your comments, because it's also one of the challenges we've identified when dealing with especially the assets that are leased by an entity like NPA. When it comes to the time for them maybe to revert to TNPA, and then the issue of saying what value should they have, because by the time they're fully depreciated. So this will serve to put impetus on the team to ensure that they kind of set some kind of guidelines with regard to that, and we're able to then avoid problems that could emanate from being not so clear and categorical in dealing with that matter. Highly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Colleagues, I don't see any additional hands. On that note, I would like for members to indicate by raising their hands if they approve the recommendations as read out by Mr. Mkhize, and I think they're on 14.1. From 14. Mr. Mkhize, can you just assist? It's from 14.1 to. Mr. Mkhize?
Sorry, there's 14.1 and 2 and 3.
Thank you. Colleagues, please indicate by raising your hand if you are approving or in support of this. I've got Ms. Masetti, Mr. Spanda, Mr. Bia, Advocate Sitole, Ms. Mpungose, Mr. Umede, Mr. Mkhize. And yes, can I just check again, Faye? You still could not establish whether Ms. Simane has been able to join or not.
Chairperson, she's not answering her phone. I did try to call her.
Okay. Could we then maybe alter what we had as that it's a full house to indicate that we are unable to get hold of Ms. Simane in that initial part of the meeting where we're checking whether we're correct or not?
Chairperson, sorry,
yes.
I do see on the chat that she has greeted at 8:59. Yeah, if I don't know what's happening there.
Okay, but thank you, Faye. But I think for these decisions, I mean, we were deliberating and we didn't have Ms. Simane, so I think it would be appropriate to record it as such. Thank you, Faye. Colleagues, we are now going to move on to the next item that's on the agenda by Mr. Mkhize. Mr. Mkhize, please go ahead. Yeah, we have approved the Faye, I think, as the recommendations as read out by Mr. Mkhize.
Chairperson, thank you. I'm moving to 5.2, which is a report on the transitioning of the efficiency adjustment factor and volume rules elements of the tariff methodology for petroleum storage and loading facilities version 5 and requests for full implementation of this methodology having been piloted and transitioned. As alluded to in paragraph 2.1, the PPS requests the energy regulator to consider and note the report on the transitioning as stated earlier, and also to approve full implementation of the tariff methodology for petroleum storage and loading facilities. It's important to note that on the 31st of March 2022, ER approved version 5 of the tariff methodology for the approval of tariffs for petroleum storage and loading facilities. It then also approved the publication of the version 5 of the tariff methodology, as well as the transitioning period not exceeding 12 months. Safe to say that, however, this transitioning was then extended, having engaged licensees on the adequacy of identified peers in terms of volume, rules, and efficiency with regard to the utilization of the capacity of these facilities, and also to enforce also compliance with Section 84 of minimum information requirements of tariff applications and regulations made under the Act on volume reporting, including the submission of volume profiles by licenses during the initial submission of the tariff application. As a result, the energy regulator needs us to know that from the side of the division as well as the PPS should just be rest assured that as part of the stakeholder management, the Petroleum Pipelines Division will continue engaging existing and prospective licensees as well as members of the public on the methodology as part of its continuous improvement process, without necessarily creating a situation where there is uncertainty or instability. I would then like to draw the attention to the recommendation chairperson that is under 4.1, paragraph 4.1 on page 9 of 24, which is for the ER to consider and note the report on the transitioning of the efficiency adjustment factor and volume rules element of the tariff methodology for petroleum storage and loading facilities, version 5, which is attached as Annexure A, and to approve full implementation of the tariff methodology for petroleum storage and loading facilities, version 5. As alluded to, Chairperson, there will still be continuous engagement of stakeholders with regard to refinements where necessary as part of the continuous improvement process that the regulator normally embarks upon. Thank you, Chairperson and members.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize, for the introduction and explanation. Colleagues, we have a submission in front of us. Are there any questions, points to be clarified, or comments to be made? I will start with you, Mr. Beer.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to Mr. Mkhize. I support the submission, but I just wanted to confirm something. When you look at 5.5, our volume target setting, when you look at it there, almost all of them, they did not meet them. Is there a challenge with the volume target setting? Actually, even the volumes that were achieved are even, except for one, they are even less than the previous volumes. So is there a challenge within our target setting for volumes that we actually use, because what was achieved it's so low compared to the target that was set? That was my worry in going fully fledged when we have not resolved the issues that are between our target setting and also the volumes that are achieved by the licensees. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Beer. I don't see any other hands. Before you respond, Mr. Mkhize, for me, it's just a comment. Colleagues, I think by the time these documents come to the energy regulator, they must have gone through a language or someone who would edit these things. I mean, I am not sticky. If I take you to 5.11, I'm not sticky about the fact that we say, while we note that, and then generally the way of writing, it is, whilst it is noted, but when it comes to 5.2, I don't understand what is on 5.2, starting from that part that says will likely remain the same or may increase marginally if people or electricity are needed to increase volumes. And that other part around the conscientiousness, or I don't even know how to pronounce that name. I don't understand what that sentence is, and I don't think that it makes sense. So I can go on and point others to you, but I'm just making that as an example. Can we really make it such that as the regulator, all we deal with is the subject matter and make the decisions, but we shouldn't be doing these corrections? Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Your comment.
Thank you, Chairperson. I should state that Chairperson also to rest assured that the checking will be improved. Normally, we do the quality assurance, and then it's referred to the team in terms of implementing it, done in the form of track changes. And I think the team is here to note that, because after the period when one has looked, it comes to the committee. But your point is well taken, noting what is on 5.2 as well as what you have highlighted. We look also on the other areas and ensure that everything is corrected. I would then move on to what Madam Spear has alluded to, noting that this is a first round, really. This is at the beginning of the process of volume target setting. And therefore, having observed that what the volumes achieved, it's a new target set, and is to then see going forward as to what is going to transpire out of that. But we know the concern, and it is actually part of the reasons why we need to set these volume targets to make sure that there is efficiency. It just points to the fact that there's still room enough for improvement in terms of volume efficiency. This is all I would say from my side, Madam Speaker. Your point is taken. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkhize. Mr. Mkhize, I also, as we are rectifying the submission, we have always said that when it comes to our submissions, it must be the regulator. I mean, on 5.14 and 5.16, like for instance, 5.16, we say it is the team's view. It's not that we don't have a team. We have a NESA, and the team works on behalf of NESA. So can you reflect it like that? I know we have mentioned it in the others, but on that note, may I just check with you, Ms. Sibiya, if you are covered from what you were looking at? Ms. Sibiya?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Colleagues, may I then request that we go to the recommendations as read out by Mr. Mkhize. I think they are on 14.11 and 14.12, and indicate if we are approving or supporting these recommendations by raising our hands. I've got Mr. Gumede, Mr. Sibiya, Ms. Mpungose, Ms. Maseti, Advocate Sithole, and Mr. Spanda. And Faye, I see Ms. Simane. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Simane. Thank you. Faye, we have a decision, and we're going to then go back to Mr. Mkhize, who would then take us to the next item on the agenda.
Yes, Chairperson, you as you talk to the issue of teams, you might still have that as reflected on the submission only, and not on the decision and reasons for decision document, as we had used that in the main to reflect what the technical NESA team would have done, and then to be recommended then to the PPS. We'll have to then work things out differently going forward, as we have kind of more or less worked in that fashion. But I would just then like to go straight to what is the subject matter here, being the reasons and decision and reasons for decision document on the tariff application by VOPEC Terminal Durban Pty Ltd for its Fane site and Farewell King site petroleum storage facilities located in Allen View, Durban, in KwaZulu-Natal province. And the ER is requested to approve the tariffs applied for by VOPEC for its petroleum storage facility for the period 1st January 2024 to 31st December 2026. It's a multi-year tariff, and to approve the decision and reason for decision document attached as Annexure A. Figure 1 under 4.3 on page 2 of 44 provides us with the schematic view of the facilities when one looks at the island view in the Durban Harbour. And then when we go to 5.2, this is paragraph 5.2, it then indicates to us the comment and questions raised by members. It's on page 7 of the 44, the green numbering, and indication of these being adequately addressed as in terms of the management response. And when we then go to paragraph 5.13, it then indicates the volumes there under table 6, and the VOPAC terminal is reliant on the Transnet pipeline system, and then as a result, its utilization of facility is subject to other factors such as supply agreements, being fully onboarded by Transnet to utilize the pipeline system and having access to the coastal and inland markets. The volume efficiency analysis is provided on paragraph 5.15 to 5.18, showing that VOPAC is efficient relative to its peers. Table 8 provides a comparison in tariffs between what VOPAC applied for and NERSA's calculation. I would then like to draw your attention, Chairperson and members, to paragraph 13.1, where it is recommended that the energy regulator approves the tariffs of 267.59 per cubic meter per month, 283.71 per cubic meter per month, and 306 Rand 27 cents per cubic meter per month for the 2024 financial year, 2025 financial year, and 2026 financial year, respectively, applied for by VOPAC Terminal Durban Pty Ltd for its Fane site and Farewell King site petroleum storage facilities located in Island View, Durban, in KwaZulu-Natal province, as well as to approve the decision and reasons for decision document attached here as Annexure A, subject to the further refinement of this decision and reasons for the document in terms of language editing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkhize. Colleagues, we have a submission in front of us with recommendations on 13.11 and 13.12. May I check if members have got any questions, comments, and additional inputs? I do not see any hands. May I then indicate, may I then request colleagues to indicate by raising their hands if they are approving or in support of the recommendations on 13.11 and 13.12. Got Advocate Sitole, Ms. Mbungose, Mr. Spanda, Mr. Kumete, Mr. Mkhize, Ms. Spear, and Ms. Semane, and Ms. Maseti. Thank you. We have disposed of this item. Faye, it's approved as recommended. Mr. Mkhize, we still are in your hands.
Thank you, Chairperson. The last item from my side is pertains to the minutes of the Petroleum Pipeline Subcommittee meeting number 182, held on Wednesday, the 7th of February 2024, virtually via the Microsoft Teams. I take the minutes as read and would not necessarily want to pick any item as such, but I'll stand ready to respond to any questions, comments, or guidance that members would like to provide. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Members, any questions, comments on the minutes of the Petroleum Pipelines Subcommittee meeting? I don't see any hands. Mr. Mkhize, may I just ask, I mean, I see in your last meeting, there were two submissions that were not ready by the date of the submission deadline, like item number 7 and number 9. Is there an issue with the timelines that are set, or is there an issue with the preparation of submissions? What is the issue? Because I mean, we advertise this and then we have them on our meeting agenda, and we come to a meeting where some of the members of the public may have come just for this, and then we don't have them in the agenda. Do you have any insights as to where the challenge is and what we need to fix there? Thank you, Mr. Mkhize.
Thank you. Chairperson, I think it's more of putting issues on the agenda with the view that they are going to be finalized, and then when they're discussed, I think on the rules per se, I had to wait a workshop internally, and then I resolved that they be returned. These have since because we needed just to change the whole approach around it, and this matter has since been dealt with and finalized. The same would applied on the discussion document on the Transnet SOC Limited. We don't usually have these on this team at the PPS, but it's just been the nature of the discussions that have required more robust engagement, and for the team to review at a division as well as FTRM level, so that the committee is not bogged down by work that could have been resolved with the FTRM having to look at the document, just to try to make the time of the committee more productive and efficient in terms of the running of the business of the committee. That was in essence the main reason. It's not the norm. It was rather an exception. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkhize, for that response and your assistance. Mr. Mkhize, we on the agenda, I think we were on the last item. May I check with you if there's anything additional or that you would want to say before I ask the colleagues for them to indicate if they're noting the minutes?
No, from my side, there's nothing really much to say, but just to thank the members of this committee for their cooperation, as well as the team for putting extra work on this. And I think we can only move from strength to strength if we continue to work in the fashion that we've been working. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkhize. Colleagues, we have the minutes of the Petroleum Pipelines Subcommittee. And if we could just indicate by raising our hands that we are happy to note these minutes. I've got Mr. Mkhize, Mr. Bia, Mr. Gumede, Advocate Sitole, Ms. Mpungose, Ms. Mane, and Ms. Maseti, and Mr. Bia. Thank you. The minutes are noted as such. Colleagues, that brings us to the next item on the agenda. This is now item number 6 on the agenda. This is the report by the chairperson of the Piped Gas Subcommittee, regulator member primarily responsible for piped gas at NESA, Ms. Nomfundo Maseti. Ms. Maseti, you have the floor. You can take us from 6.1 right up to 6.4. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning, members. The first report that we have from the Piped Gas Subcommittee is the application by ROMCO for the approval of the transmission tariff. As you know, that we've got 3 different tariffs, so it's a 3-part tariff for the period starting from July 2024 to June 2026. Chairperson, the members would recall that we are having a second bite in this application. It was considered early last year, but there was non-compliance on the part of ROMCO. And in line with the methodology, once we do not approve the tariff, then the applicant or the licensee will then amend so that it can correct the parts that are not in compliance. ROMCO has done that and resubmitted its application. So it is important now also for compliance that at least they have a tariff that they need to levy on the customers to protect the customers, but also to protect the revenue of the licenses. So that's very important that we consider this matter today. With regards to this matter, we are requesting the energy regulator to consider the tariff that we've stated in the covering submission, and that is the tariff of about, on paragraph 6, Chairperson, is the ROMCO tariff of 61 rands 9 cents per gigajoule per annum, if we can add that there per annum, which will be escalated or adjusted annually during the period starting from July 2024 to 2026. Chairperson, this amount that you see, which we talk about here, 61 rands per gigajoule, during our calculations, it had to be slightly reduced because in the original application, ROMCO has asked for a 65 rands 54 cent. That 65 rands for 54 cent is an average tariff. We do not have a mandate to approve average tariff. Also, it would have meant that they are trying to pull the other tariffs that have been calculated differently. For instance, for the big pipeline GTA3 gas transportation agreement for the main pipeline, and this one is for the loop line, meaning for the short pipeline that is located in Mozambique. So they wanted to add up also the tariff for the compressor station that is sitting in Komati Port. And remember that we already have a tariff that is calculated and decided separately. There's a formula for it. And also for the first one, there's a prescribed formula that we could not change. So if they now try to take those final outputs and pull them together, that is unacceptable. So that is the reason in paragraph 6, we could not consider that 65 rands 54 cents. So the difference is very slight, is less than 10%, Chairperson. So we are comfortable with that. We're comfortable with that in the subcommittee. So what we are therefore asking the energy regulator to do is to approve that tariff of 61.09 cents per gigajoule per annum, and not to approve ROMCO's primary request, including the request for real average tariff of 65 rands for the period July 2023 to June 2024. And also the tariff restructuring requested by ROMCO, and the resultant tariff of 69 rands 2 cents. So those are the decisions, Chairperson, that we are requesting from the energy regulator today. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Massetti. Colleagues, we have a submission in front of us. Any questions, comments for Ms. Massetti and the team? I've got Mr. Sibanda. Mr. Sibanda, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Ms. Massetti. Chairperson, perhaps the question of the tariff escalation, if that could be clarified, how that would be done in the decision, if that could be specified, how the escalation is done, essentially the escalation index or factor that will be applied. But I just wanted to check with respect to the over-recovery of the clawback. It's not clear in the submission whether this happened over 1 year or over several periods of time. If that could be clarified, because it's quite a substantial amount of money, and again, whether ROMCO is aligned with the regulator that indeed this was over-recovered. And I do take notice that you indicated that this will be dealt with in the next tariff application, but I just wanted to check whether this happened over a period of time or was it over just one application period, and whether ROMCO is also aligned with us that this is an over-recovery. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Sibanda. Ms. Massetti, I don't see any other hands, and I'm covered by the questions that Mr. Sibanda has asked. If you may please respond.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Mr. Sibanda. Yes, Mr. Sibanda, we will look into the escalation. But if you noticed in my presentation, I spoke about either escalation or adjustments, because we are getting additional volumes now. So it might not necessarily be an escalation, because if the remaining capacity is utilized, this particular pipeline it has a capacity of 24 million gigajoules. So at the beginning, they were utilizing only a 7.8 gigajoules, which is plus minus 30% of the capacity that was built. So now there's some additional gas that is now put into the pipeline, which now is utilizing that excess capacity of about 70%. So it is highly likely that as we are getting these additional volumes, and these are not new, this is not new volumes necessarily, but it was volumes that were initially allocated to Mozambique, that now it is diverted to South Africa, those additional volumes. So they will also count in the next tariff. So sometimes instead of the tariff being escalated, it might well be just adjusted. So I think it's safe when we talk about an adjustment. But I will ask the team to just come in there with regards to the aspect of escalation. And also just remember that I also included in the recommendation an adjustment just precisely for the explanation that I've provided. I forgot to mention on the second question, Mr. Smanda, that the clawback is not part of this decision that is required today. And you will recall that it is for the multi-year tariff for ROMCO. We usually approve a 3-year tariff application for ROMCO. So it is calculated over that period of time, and it will be factored in once the financials are audited, and once we are in agreement with ROMCO for the regulatory financial information that is audited, that they will submit to us. But the team to add there, they may just come in on the escalation and just to augment also the last point. Ms. Makota?
Thank you, Chair. With regards, I hope I'm audible. With regards to the tariff escalation, yes, Chair, you have alluded to that the driver there is also the volumes as well. It's volumes as well as the inflation factor. With regards to the clawback, there has been talks with ROMCO themselves regarding the amount the clawback.
Through you, Chairperson, Mr. Njezula, if you can please just touch on the escalation. Is there any mechanism that is there now on the escalation to direct in the submission where that escalation or how that escalation is going to be done? That is the only part I did not deal with. If there is any escalation, that's why I balanced the decision for the energy regulator to say an adjustment, escalation or an adjustment. Is there any escalation mechanism that you can direct the members to?
It's as you rightfully said, Chair. It is an adjustment. It's not the.
Mr. Njezula, Ms. Maseti has asked you to direct the members to the part of the document that is this. If it is there, please say the paragraph. If it is not there, please allow the members to deliberate. Please go ahead, Mr. Njezula. Tell us where we would find that, as Ms. Maseti has asked. Or if it is not there, please indicate that it is not there. Please go ahead, Mr. Njezula.
It's not in the document, Chair, in terms of but otherwise it's as Ms. Maseti had explained in terms of the adjustment. Thanks.
To assist members, the formula that we use for ROMCO is the discounted cash flow. So if you look at the submission, page 13, on the green overstamped pages, you will see that usually the indexation of the CPI through the CPI. So that's how it will be adjusted, the tariffs, using the CPI as the indexation of the tariff. So the adjustment that I mentioned, I think, is the terminology that is used there. Hence, I immediately use the word adjustment. So the adjustment will be based on annual inflation that is applied, members. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Massetti. Ms. Massetti, I think what I'm going to recommend, but first let me check, Mr. Sibanda, are you covered? Mr. Sibanda, has your question been addressed?
Partly, Chair. I think all that I needed, especially in the decision, because we are being requested to approve that the tariff will be escalated annually. So I just wanted us to be specific how that escalation is going to be done annually. So if it's by CPI, then I think we need to indicate that in the decision. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Sibanda. Mr. Sibanda, for me, excuse me, what I understood is that it's not only going to be by CPI, there's also going to be volume changes. So I think the most elegant way of putting it would be to say in that second paragraph that the tariff of 61.09 rands per gigajoule per annum will be adjusted twice on the 1st of June 2024, July 2024 and July 2025 at a rate that will be approved by the energy regulator. In that way, we are safe. Members, is there any support for that change or enhancement in recommendation number 1? I don't see any indications. Members, maybe may I just request if I can see by members raising their hand if they are aligned or support I've got Ms. Massetti, Mr. Gumede, Mr. Mbungose, Mr. Mkhize, Advocate Stolle, Mr. Bia, and Mr. Mane, and Mr. Spand. Thank you. Then colleagues, I think we have adjusted 6.11, and it is in the way that covers us as the regulator. May I check if there are any other questions from the members on the submission before we then go and approve the rest of the recommendations on 6? Mr. Gumede, I see your hand is up.
Apologies.
Thank you. In that case, colleagues, may I then request that we go to the recommendations, and I think it's from 6.1 to 6.15. Those are the ones that we are approving, and 6.16 and 6.17 is what we are not approving. If members could indicate by raising their hands if they are approving that, obviously 6.11 has been adjusted. I've got Ms. Massetti, Mr. Gumede, Mr. Mane, Mr. Mbungose, Mr. Spanda, Advocate Stolle, Mr. B, and Mr. Mkhize. Thank you. Faye, if you could record the approval and the adjustment that has been made. If we can then move on, Ms. Massetti, you've got the floor.
Chairperson, now we are on item 6.2 of the agenda, and that is the application from Columbus Stainless Steel for the maximum price of gas. The period is July 2023 until 30 June 2024. Just to anticipate the question from the members, remember that these small gas traders, we have accepted their applications because the methodology that they are now applying is one that was approved in January 2023. So they were supposed to submit applications, familiarizing themselves first and be able to put adequate applications to the energy regulator starting from April of 2023. So some of them, they were still struggling, and they have now submitted. And this is important for purposes of compliance for the licensee, if one looks at the period there to say why we only consider it now. So I just wanted to put that up front. Chairperson, in terms of this application for Columbus Stainless Steel, the committee has considered this application and is satisfied with the differences that we observed in the calculations done by NERSA as well as Columbus Stainless Steel, which are below 1%. And also, just in terms of the questions raised by the members, were questions related to the regulatory asset base in terms of how it was calculated. And the figure has been shown on page 2 of the covering submission, just to clarify issues that were raised in the subcommittee, just to indicate the error that was pointed out. And also the differences in terms of the trading cost, and those are caused by the calculations of tax, and also just some the errors that were picked up. But on table 2 is what we are recommending, Chairperson, having calculated the cost of gas as we have it in the regulations, being the price that this licensee is purchasing or acquiring gas. It is indicated there. Then we add the trading cost, meaning which is in line with regulation 4 sub 4, as well as the profit component. All of that, Chairperson, is in table 1. Paragraph 6, and those are the recommendations, Chairperson. The usual things that we've included there is the fact that this tariff excludes VAT, and that discounts are allowed, but they must not be unduly unfair to others, and they must be done in line with Section 22 of the Gas Act. And this is the decision of the energy regulator, effective on the date that such decision has been made. All of the others, Chairperson, are just compliance with the license conditions that this licensee must apply 4 months before the expiry of the current tariffs. We also request that the decision and reasons for decision, the decision as well as reasons for decision, a document be approved and put on the website. Thank you, Chair. I think the publication issue it's one that, Chairperson, you had said before, that it is a normal thing that we usually do. So I will strike it out. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Masetti. Colleagues, members, here's a submission in front of us. Are there any questions, comments, or points that members would like to enhance? I do not see any hands. That means then that Ms. Masetti, there's support for this, but may I then request members if you could raise your hands to indicate that you are in support of the recommendations as read out by Ms. Masetti from 6.1 right up to 6.5, and we are striking out 6.16. But Ms. Masetti, Ms. Semane, Mr. Kumede, Mr. Mkhize, Mr. Spanda, Advocate Sitole, and I think Faye, that's enough. So we have approved, and Ms. Mbungose, we have approved the recommendations as listed from 6.1 to 6.15, and we are striking out 6.16. Thank you. Ms. Masetti, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, the application that we are now going to consider is part of the agenda item 6.3 is the application that we received from Vuma Gas Pty Ltd for the maximum price of gas starting from July 2023 to 30 June 2026. Chairperson, this is a new entrant. It is the first time that it applies for the maximum gas price. We licensed this company in 2023. Chairperson, the committee looked at the application and was satisfied with the recommendations, with some enhancements to be made in the reasons for decision, essentially to add the public consultation process. And that has been added now on paragraph 10, page 18 of the reasons for decision. And also the issues that were raised pertain to some rounding off, which then could cause some discrepancies. So that also was corrected in the submission. as well as just the calculations that are done for the trading cost of this licensee, and the incorrect rounding off of the weighted average cost of capital was corrected, and the adjustment has been done as well, Chairperson. So those are just the issues that the committee had. But what we are requesting the energy regulator to approve today is on paragraph 6 of the covering submission, that the maximum price of gas, which is about 222 15 cents per gigajoule, be approved by the energy regulator, and it includes the components of the price, which is the cost of gas itself, the trading cost, and the profit component. And this is in line with the methodology, Chairperson. I would like to stop there. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Massetti. Members, we have a submission in front of us. Any questions, comments, or points to be clarified or enhancements? I see no hands from the members. Then I would move you to the next part. If you could indicate by raising your hand that we're approving the recommendations on item 6, from 6.11 right up to 6.15, and 6.16 is really the same as what we have done in the previous submission. Ms. Semane, is that a question or approving?
Apologies, Chair, I was approving.
Thank you, Ms. Semane. We'll get Ms. Semane, Mr. Spander, Mr. Bia, Mr. Kumede, Ms. Massetti, Ms. Mpungose, and Advocate Setole. Thank you. We have the submission approved. Ms. Massetti, we are still in your hands.
Sorry. Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, the next submission is the minutes of the previous meetings. The minutes of the committee held on 8 February 2024. Chairperson, I have nothing to emphasize or highlight in these minutes because we dealt essentially with the maximum price applications, some of which are approved today, Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Massetti. May I check, colleagues, if there's any questions, comments, or points that you would want Ms. Massetti to clarify on the minutes? If none, colleagues, may I just request if you could raise your hand to indicate that you are in support of noting these minutes. But Ms. Massetti, Mr. Mkize, Ms. Mpungose, Mr. Kumede, Ms. Semane, Advocate Setole, and Mr. Spander. Thank you. And Mr. Bia, thank you. The minutes are noted. Colleagues, thank you, Ms. Massetti. Ms. Massetti, may I check with you if there's anything additional you would want to say before we hand over to the next chairperson of the committee?
Yes, Chairperson. I'm not sure if I missed something, but maybe the secretary can assist me. I think I see, because I was looking for another report from the piped gas, and I see it has been put under electricity, Chairperson. As you must just wait, FA, for the member to finish talking before you come in, so that you can properly correct and the recording of the proceedings reflect appropriately. Chairperson, I see, I don't know whether it is just me, I see it under electricity as paragraph 6.5. So I thought I have missed it. I'm not sure whether maybe this is in the closed meeting. I'm just not sure, but I stand to be corrected, Chair. I was looking for that particular item. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Ms. Massetti. May you just confirm, Faye, in the way I understood the agenda, this would be a part of the meeting that's discussed in the closed meeting. Please confirm.
Yes, Chair. Ms. Massetti, apologies for that. Yes, this is part of the closed meeting. I followed the method that was advised in the previous time that this matter served. It is not under electricity. It's under the continuation of your report. Thank you, Chair.
Ms. Maseti, would that be fine if we discuss that in the closed meeting? And I think the issue that Ms. Maseti really is pointing out, if maybe we could have listed it as a separate agenda item, because right now it appears like it is under the report of electricity. Thank you. Ms. Maseti, are you covered?
That is in order, Chairperson. That's why I said I got confused and I wanted some direction by bringing it to your attention to say that I was expecting this matter appeared elsewhere. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Maseti. We will then deal with this matter when we have closed the meeting. Thank you. Colleagues, may I, with your permission, take you back to then item number 7. This is now, Ms. Maseti, I think I just asked if there was anything additional before this one that you were clarifying, anything additional that you would want to say to the members of the regulator. It may not be on this.
Chairperson, all I will emphasize certain things in the governance part of the meeting when I presented the other item. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Maseti. Thank you. Colleagues, we are then going to move to item number 7. Item number 7 is the report of the chairperson of the electricity subcommittee, which is presented by the regulator member primarily responsible for electricity regulation at NESA, Mr. Gumede. Mr. Ntantla Gumede, please, you have the floor. You will take us through item 7.1 right up to 7.2. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning to you, members and colleagues. Chair, I've got 4 substantial matters, 2 which are to be dealt with in an open meeting, but only one of those is actually a substantial matter, which is item 7.1. And 7.1 is really about, we are here as the committee to request the energy regulator to approve the RFD for the ESCOM 6-year NPA for the Glencore Merafe Chrome Venture ferrochrome smelter operations, which are in Rustenburg in the northwest. This matter was considered by the actual decision was made by the energy regulator last year on the 14th of December 2023. However, the reasons that it was felt that the actual reason for decision document did not contain or did not substantially align with the presentation in terms of the matters that were explained to the ER, and hence the energy regulator requested that the draft reasons for decision be taken back for enhancements. The primary areas that were requested to be looked at were structural and grammatical in nature, number 1. Number 2, substantially, the issue was the legal analysis. There were a number of gaps that were identified there. And lastly, issues pertaining to stakeholder comments. These enhancements were made, effected and presented to the ELS of the 8th of March 2024, and were considered. Hence, we are here today, Chairperson, to request that the energy regulator approves the RFD for the ESCOM 6-year NPA for the Glencore Merafe Chrome Venture ferrochrome smelter operations in Rustenburg. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Gumede. Members, we have a submission in front of us. The RFD and the recommendations are on item number 14, page 7. Any comments, questions, points to be clarified, or enhancements that you would propose? In the absence of any hands, may I then just request that if you could raise your hand to indicate that you are supporting the recommendation under 14 on page 7, that the subcommittee, the energy regulator approves the reasons for the decision for the 6-year NPA or for Glencore. I've got Mr. Mkhize, Mr. Gumede, Ms. Maseti, Mr. Sibanda, Advocate Stole, Mr. Mbungose, and Ms. Beer. Thank you. You have the submission approved. Thank you. Mr. Gumede, item 7.2.
Thank you, Chairperson. The next item is essentially just the minutes of the Electricity Subcommittee meeting number 217, which was held on Tuesday, the 6th of February 2024. I have nothing that I would like to highlight, Chairperson, and the minutes are here for noting. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Commander. Members of the regulator, any questions, comments or points to be clarified from the minutes of the electricity subcommittee? If none, may I just request if you could indicate by raising your hand that you support the noting of these minutes. I've got Mr. Mkhize, Ms. Maseti, Mr. Beer, Advocate Stole, Ms. Banda, Mr. Kumete, Ms. Mpungose, and yes, it's approved. Faye, could you just confirm that Ms. Mane is still able to connect, because I haven't seen her voting in the last minutes, and if she's connected and she's not approving, on whether she would want her vote or her inputs to be noted as that she didn't vote. Thank you, Faye. You can update the meeting, or Ms. Mane, you can indicate if you are able to do so in the meeting. If not, I think Faye, please confirm, because we need to record if it was approved by so many members and if there's a member with a dissenting voice. Thank you. Colleagues, we are now at the point where we have to close the meeting. To the members of the public, may I thank members of the public who have been with us and thank them for always following the proceedings of NESA, and we trust that in the process we do provide you with the confidence that the matters that are before us are handled with the due care and diligence, and that the regulation of the industries that we are tasked with is in capable hands. So thank you and have a great morning. I'm going to then request Mr. Matatha